Sorry. That didn't sound hard.
Oh no.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Minus Cast, episode 15. I'm here with Chari5, Nathaniel Bandy, Nintendrew, Tetrabit Gaming, and myself, SwankyBox, here to debate some controllers. So a while ago, Tetra, you made a tier list, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yes.
I did. Everyone hated it. It was good. It was great. I think it's, I don't know if it's my most popular tweet to date, but it's probably like top 3. I think just most engagement, most likes, but also probably most
dislikes.
most dislikes because of people like retweeting it and hating on it. But I mean, I took some of the flack I got from it. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I did rate this a little bit too high, a little bit too low. But it was kind of just something I whipped up in like 5 minutes. I didn't give it too much thought. I was kind of just throwing stuff around. But it started a big debate, honestly. Like on Twitter, a lot of people were like saying that certain controllers did deserve to be that low, or on the flip side, certain controllers deserve to be like S rank, whereas I thought they were absolutely not.
For example,
I'm not a big fan of any PlayStation controller.
How dare you?
In general, that's DualShock 4 S tier, bro.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say, how dare you? This is great. This is fantabulous.
I don't like the triggers. I don't like the control sticks. I don't like.
I will say, like, I hated
Pretty
PlayStation controllers for almost my entire gaming life. Until the DualShock 4. The DualShock 4 is so much better ergonomically.
Yeah, I was going to say,
it looks exactly the same as all the other ones, but it feels like 10 times better.
It feels
the other
very
ones were like
different,
a plastic toy that like digs into your palms for no good reason.
Yes,
they're really cheaply made too. Like I have I don't have a PS1, but I have 2 and 3, and they're fine. But like I don't know, they don't feel that comfortable to hold. And like you said, the quality's not very good. But PS4 controllers actually feel really well made. So I absolutely love PS4 controllers. The only
I will
thing
concede that
is
the DualShock 4 is definitely way better than the other ones for sure.
Yeah.
Which is weird because like Drew said, like it's the design is so similar to the previous ones, but like it has the little bells and whistles that just make it feel better. Like for example, the little thing, I think one of the smallest details is like the small like indents on the joysticks.
Mm-hmm. That makes a huge difference.
Grip. Yeah, it does. Yeah. It absolutely does.
Yeah, and that's kind of similar to even like the Pro controller, because Nintendo's made a lot of controllers, but this one, even their joysticks have like little indentations, kind of like the PS4 one does, and it makes it a lot easier to grip.
Xbox has the same thing. It's just theirs are concave, I guess. Rather than convex,
Xbox I think Xbox has always done that with their joysticks, if I'm not mistaken. Although I can't remember the OGs.
Yes, they have. I'm looking at the OG one right now, the Duke in the corner.
I have the Xbox One right here. It has the same thing.
See, I always.
So what is the argument? What is our? What are we debating?
What are we debating?
Why don't we break it across?
Because so far we're agreeing on a lot of things.
Why don't we talk about PlayStation first? You guys, I have a lot of experience with PS1, and I feel like that controller, especially the one that came with the console, was built like a tank. Like I felt like it was a very solid controller.
Yeah, I wouldn't say the build quality is bad. It's just like the plastic feels kind of cheap and just like I don't know. It's like I think part of it is just that it's glossy plastic, isn't it? Rather than like a matte plastic that's kind of more
I believe so,
Are you talking about which PlayStation 1?
I've got my Xbox and Joy-Con here. Like they're all kind of matte plastic that feels more smooth. I don't know. Maybe something like that.
Well, I think my original PlayStation controller was like the white one that came with the console, and I felt like it was pretty solid. I felt like the analog sticks were pretty comfy. It's very interesting to hear you guys' takes in terms of the degradation of like how you feel maybe the quality of the controller went down over time. I mean, I'm looking at Chari. See, it's interesting though, because like maybe I didn't have. Because that's the OG right there, right?
This is the OG, but this has the analog sticks, which was like version 2.
Version 1 OG just had the D-pad.
Then I'm referring to the definitely version 2 or what. I didn't have a PlayStation on launch. We got it pretty much after its life cycle, honestly.
Right, yeah. Dude, but what about Dreamcast? The like fucking worst controller there is.
I've never held a Dreamcast controller, but every time I see it, I just get confused. I mean, it looks fine. It kind of almost looks like a Xbox Duke controller in a weird
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
But just
It's-
not as comfortable.
The
It's
Nintendo
not the
64
worst.
controller
Yeah.
had a baby with the Xbox controller, and that was the Dreamcast controller.
Actually, let's talk about N64 controllers. So, the majority of us are not a fan of this, but I remember Drew made a video, I think it was like a year ago, and how
Yep.
you were defending the N64 controller. So I guess let's kind of start with that, because personally,
Sure.
I don't have a problem with the 3-prong thing. I think it's actually kind of cool how some games kind of go back and forth between D-pad and joystick. My issue is the joystick itself. It's very stubby and just it breaks really easily, and I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it. So
What do you
What do
feel
you like
about the
about
grooves
this?
on that? Like in terms of the joystick, it has like the different grooves that it kind of like locks into.
that is cool. I do like that. yeah.
Gating.
Do you like that? Okay.
The gating is
I
nice.
wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, my basic position on the 64 controller, and it could be misconstrued, so let me be very clear and explain my position on the 64 controller. I don't claim that it's a fantastic controller in practice, or like that it's the best way to play in 64 games today. I've said many times I think that's the Brawler 64, which I don't know if you can even see. No, you can't really. But if you look up the Brawler 64, we can pop it on the screen or something.
Or the
It's
Hori
like-
pad. Yeah. Those
it's
are both
kind of
really
like a
good.
more modern version of the same thing with the same inputs. My position is, in design, it made perfect sense for the next step from the Super Nintendo. That from a design perspective, if it had a better quality joystick, if it had better quality everything, like from a design standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. It's a Super Nintendo controller where they added a joystick to the bottom,
To the middle,
and if they had made like an Xbox One controller for the 64, if they had made something like this, I have a feeling a lot of Nintendo players who came from the Super Nintendo would have no clue what to do with this. Like, it may be much better to play with today because we're used
Yeah.
to that with modern consoles, but the kind of hybrid design where you're meant to hold it in either 2D or 3D mode, I think made a lot of sense for players who had never played a 3D game before, and we're going into that new generation.
Yeah, I really like the controller. Again, I don't think it's the best controller out there by a long shot, but I think a lot of the hate it gets is completely unfounded. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
There's like, it has 3 arms. I don't have 3 hands. But most people say, they're like, "Oh, I don't have 3 hands. How am I supposed to hold this thing?"
Yeah.
It's like, the amount
It's
of
people who've
games that
never played the
require you,
64.
the amount of
Right,
games that
yeah.
use this and this, like to actually move or control, is 0. 0 games do that. It's either this or like this to play games. Like some games, like you can use either or, but
And you know what?
never both. It's either
Not at
this
the same time. Yeah, exactly.
or this.
The cool thing is
And-
GoldenEye, you can do it the other way around. You can have your stick on your right
you
thumb.
Can, you can swap that, but never like all 3. You never have to like swap between all 3 ever. So like that's the common complaint it always gets. And it's completely unfounded because never.
Unlike
used
you
that way.
fellas, I didn't grow up with playing an N64, so like it wasn't until right now that I'm like, huh, you guys are right. Like that's exactly like how you play, and that's like really comfortable actually. Because yeah, being not used to it, I would grab it like this. I would just do this and be like, this is
No.
weird. Why would I do it?
What?
Oh,
And
I've seen
and
people
that
going
now
like this.
do this.
image.jpg.
Like this.
Yeah, I've seen some people do like this. I'm like,
Oh,
what
yeah.
are you doing?
Classic.
There's a handle right here. Doesn't make any sense.
Have you guys noticed? I know we're gonna get comments about this, but like the middle stick on the 64, I don't have one on me, but you guys have it right there. The middle stick
Yeah.
seems to be, if not the exact same mold, very similar to the design for the nunchuck. Yeah, on the Wii, but it's got almost the exact same
Yeah.
ergonomics there on the bottom.
Yeah,
I've actually
100%.
have the nunchuck right here.
There you go.
and
Compare it.
It's the ergonomics are exactly the same, except this is just a
Can't see it.
much better.
It's like somebody
Much better
took a
joystick.
Super Nintendo controller and glued a nunchuck to the bottom.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, another thing that is,
But the
cool
plastic,
about the controller is that you can add an expansion pack, a memory pack, a rumble pack. I mean, yeah, it's a little inconvenient to have to constantly swap them, but like back then, that's
Transfer
actually pretty
pack.
darn cool. And the
Transfer pack.
Yeah,
That's the
play
thing
with
is
it.
you can't look back on it in the context of the controllers we have now. Because yes, there are better controllers. It's been what 20
yeah,
years
of
since
course.
the 64. Like it's
Yeah.
24. Yeah,
That's right.
we
So
old
I-
fellas.
Can we
but
talk
in the
about
context of its time, I think it was great.
Oh yeah.
So in terms of that controller, I think when I think of it, it's not a fond memory, but the most the memory that comes up is
Mario Party
spinning
1.
the control stick. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Exactly. So let's talk about that because I think not that twirling the control stick to get out of something was a great mechanic. But there's a lot of games that used it. You had Mario Party. I played a lot of Bomberman 64 with a lot of my my brothers. And in order to recover faster if you're getting knocked out, you had to twirl that control stick. The faster you did it, the faster you recovered. Now, from that perspective, again, it's not a good trait, but the fact that the control stick was centered and balanced perfectly, Thanos style, that you could twirl your control stick without any kind of displacement, because control sticks are typically on the on the left. That centered mechanic made it perfect for burning a hole into your palm when you're when you're outplaying people in Mario Party or other games of competition.
I've had lots and lots of blisters because of this controller.
I think the reason for it is like the material of the plastic it's made out of, because like going back to what you were saying, Drew, like when it comes to the nunchuck, like the plastic on the nunchuck is like way nicer.
It's a softer kind of mold.
It's way softer, yeah.
This is like hard plastic. There's a big difference between both.
Imagine doing the same thing, but like on a nunchuck,
rubber or something.
Yeah, like doing it like this is not that bad. Like it.
This is a massage on my palm.
Yeah, it's like a massage. Oh, this is actually really nice.
Until you start bleeding.
Oh, this is actually really nice. Bleeding. Yeah, until you start bleeding. This is my new back massager.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually really comfortable. I'm not gonna lie. All right, I'll stop.
Wow, this feels way better than I thought it would.
That actually feels really good. No. You should try it at home.
Gotta quit the podcast. Gotta go massage your back.
You mentioned the Super Nintendo controller, and we got something kind of similar to that in the shape of the OG classic controller, which I'm not used to. I showed the fellas this before the cast, and I'm not used to this. I didn't grow up using it, so I'm not entirely sure what you guys think. Like, is it comfortable? Is it like fun to use?
It's fine. It's just the dumb thing is the cord. The cord is the worst thing. It comes out of the bottom.
Yeah.
It's like the Dreamcast. Like Dreamcast
exactly.
Is the same thing.
Or switch charging cable too is annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what bothers me is just the shape of it, because it's shaped like a PlayStation controller, but without those nice side grips. So, I don't know, my hands always kind of cramped up when I was using them. Personally, I always went with the Classic Pro. This is basically a PlayStation controller, and it is 1,000 times better.
The only thing I don't like about that one is the weight. It's really, really light and flimsy.
It is actually surprisingly light. I don't know why it is, but...
Well, it doesn't have any batteries. It just plugs into the Wii remote. So
right, yeah.
That's so weird.
And the shoulder buttons are in a better spot, too, because on the Classic, they're like wrapped on the inside.
Next to
like
each other.
3DS XL.
Yeah. Oof. See, the thing about that controller is that's how I played like most of the virtual console games back when it first came out. I just don't like having the control sticks both in the middle, kind of like that does, or the PS4 controller. Even if it's like off-centered, or if it's like the Wii U style where it's like both up, I just like having it spread out more than having it closer together, because I just feel like, I don't know, your thumb just gets too close, and like, I don't know, just not a fan of that style of ergonomics. So just for that controller, it's like when I was playing like Ocarina of Time with it, because like you're moving, you're using the C stick constantly or whatever, I'm like, nah, I don't like this. I miss the C buttons.
Actually, I want to talk about something, kind of switching over to the Switch controller, the Joy-Cons, because one of my gripes with that was the D-pad. I felt like...
It's pronounced grips. Joy-Con grip.
Get a grip on yourself.
Playing Mario Maker, for example, like using the spaced out D-pad, or if you want to call it that, because it's not...
It is weird.
It's weird. It's like this, like... I felt like I was at a slight disadvantage when I'd be playing with that controller versus someone who's using like just the Switch Pro controller, because of that spacing. It made a lot of the movements... I don't know if there were delays because like the spacing was weird to me or what, but I just felt like it kind of ruined the flow of some of my movement.
It's worse. It's worse when you're using just the one right Joy-Con, because like the control stick it's like right in the middle of it. It's so awkward.
I understand and I appreciate the technology behind these controllers, but I have so many small problems with them. So kind of like you mentioned, playing games sideways, very uncomfortable. Then you've got these SLSR buttons, which even with the little grip thing on, this still doesn't really feel right. There's not very much reach with the joysticks. I mean, you can push them, you can like twirl them around and stuff, but there's not a lot of reach with them. No analog triggers on the backs. Once again, Nintendo just doesn't like those anymore. Plus and minus button are tiny.
They're
and
pretty
then
small.
then there's of course Joy-Con drift, which you can fix that, of course. Actually, Drew has a great video on that. You should check it out.
Go.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, technologically very very cool, but I'd rather just use a Pro controller if I'm playing something on Switch.
Can we talk about how HD Rumble's a farce and it's completely
Is it?
not real?
I mean,
Sure,
How do you
I've read
mean?
several
I think
times that
it
it's
exists.
it's just a placebo. I think it's just. I've heard it's just a placebo because it is just
No,
one
no.
small
It's,
motor.
if
It
you
exists.
deal
It's
with
just
like,
one small. I've opened it up. It's just one small motor.
yes, it
There's
is one
no
small
way-
motor. What do you mean by a placebo, though?
it
Like so,
exists.
if you
I don't-
feel
what?
something like on the opposite side of the controller, that's just in your head.
No,
that
no,
you're
that's not what HD Rumble is ever meant to do. Like, it's not meant to have like a
Wasn't it-
placement. No.
No, but wasn't it like you're
It's
holding it
just-
and you can like feel where the ball is like when you're playing 1-2 switch or whatever?
No,
Wasn't
it was
like,
that you
the
were able
point?
to determine how many were in there based on like very small rumbles. Like the basic concept behind it, like from a development standpoint, because I've looked at a Switch dev kit, I've seen how that comes together. You can send basically an audio file to a Joy-Con, like a sound wave, and it will reproduce that with rumble. So that's how the rumble tends to work with Switch dev kits. So what you can do is with HD Rumble, you can say like, here's like the sound of, I don't know, like an avalanche, and you can play that through the Joy-Con with rumble. So it allows you to convert a sound wave into force. So whereas traditional rumble motors will only let you do like a percentage, like you could say like on the Xbox controller, you could say I want it to rumble at 80% for 2 seconds. With the Switch Joy-Con, you pass it in an audio stream, and it does it that way. So that it's the difference in the technology is that it has a more I guess what you can send it waves so that you can have a more drastic change in strength in a fraction of a second, whereas a traditional controller would be like more
Just
closer
on
to
or off.
digital, on or off. Yeah.
I see. I just feel like the way they marketed it at first, like when he was like holding the ice, the bottle or the glass of water, he's shaking. It's like, oh, there's 3 ice cubes. I can feel 3 ice cubes in it.
Yeah.
It's never like I think outside of 1-2 switch, what games really use the HD Rumble? Very like I think correct me if I'm wrong, but Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it makes it sound when you collect coins. I think the Joy-Con rumble in a way that it sounds like you're collecting a coin.
think so.
Is that a thing? Yeah, because like at first it messed me up. I'm like, what is that sound? And like, wait a second, it sounds like coins. But
It's like
yeah,
having
I
a
can't think of
speaker
another
without
game
having
that-
a speaker. It's super weird.
I will say, as far as like the Joy-Con in general, I think I have a very similar position to my position on the 64 controller. I think like I will concede that all of your points, Nate, are valid on Joy-Con. I think there's a lot of downsides to them. On the other hand, nobody is going to be playing Breath of the Wild with this for 40 hours. Like that's not the point of these controllers. The point is that you're on the go, you can pop them off and play with a friend for like 30 minutes at a time. And I feel like it's perfectly comfortable for less than an hour of a play session. And that's just me. Like yeah, it's dumb that the buttons are so tiny, but I like that a lot more than if they weren't there. If they didn't have the shoulder buttons and it was compatible with less things, like you couldn't play Mario Kart the same way at least. I think, yeah, it's dumb that the thing is shifted off center. But if it were shifted like over here, the joystick, then when it's like this, it would be way worse to control. Like it would be absolute garbage. So they used this as the standard. Like they wanted you to play this way. But if you're in a pinch, you don't have extra Joy-Cons with you, you can pop them off, use them sideways for 30 minutes, maybe an hour at a time. And I think they're perfectly serviceable for that sort of thing. Now, Joy-Con drift is a separate thing entirely. That goes back to more design over practice, I guess. I think in practice they should have used more durable parts, a more durable mechanism. But on paper, as far as like this is where we want the Joy-Con to go, the joystick, this is where we want the buttons. Like I feel like from a design perspective, it's pretty spot on.
I really do like the clickiness of the buttons. It's just it feels very concrete, which some controllers feel kind of mushy, and honestly, I always prefer when you push, it actually feels like you're pushing, which is nice.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Swinky.
I was going to say, kind of going back to what I was mentioning about the D-pad, it obviously does make sense that, they would have both controllers sort of mirror each other in terms of, well, that area becomes the buttons for the 2 players, right? I think just as a one-player experience, utilizing it, because when I play, it's like we typically slide into that controller holster, whatever it is called, that comes with
the Joy-Con gripe.
Yeah. But like that in a one-player experience, especially for Mario Maker, I felt like, and obviously Mario Maker is kind of an outlier, right? Because most of the games most of the games that play on there aren't, side scrolling. And I guess this is just from my perspective. Mario Maker is really the one that requires a lot of precision with the inputs for the side scrolling mechanics, which I can't trust an analog stick for. It's just like I need the D-pad. I feel like to really hit some of the.
And that I was gonna say, let's segue into the Pro Controller, because this thing is great. Except I don't know about you guys, but I think 3 or 4 of these. All the D-pads on them are inaccurate. Sometimes I push right, it chooses to go up, or sometimes I'm pushing up, it chooses to input right or left, and I don't know why that happens on these things. Everything else is great about it, but
I have 2 Pro controllers, but I have not noticed that.
Yeah, I
maybe
like
I
the
just
D-pad
play them a lot, but I don't know.
Maybe
the thing is, it's happened with all my controllers, so I don't know if it's just me playing wrong, or I don't know.
I wonder if there's like a version too. I mean, just out of curiosity, if there's like a quality control issue with. I'm just looking at the back of it. HAC013 is what mine says. I don't know if that's if they have different versions that have worse
I've
D-pads.
heard that people have had issues with this D-pad, and Nintendo, after like a year, they did improve the Pro Controller, and they made a new version, so the D-pad doesn't do that. So I could just have old controllers. Yeah,
because we grind ours out a lot. Doing Mario Maker stuff, and I haven't had any issues. So it's very surprising for me to hear.
The last thing. Oh wait,
glasses.
What were we gonna do? what was the elephant in the room? Now I'm curious because I could save.
I was gonna
the GameCube.
I was gonna bring up
Tetra was about to say it.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it.
No, don't say it.
I was gonna bring up that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Drew, but you went on record to say that the GameCube controller is worse than the Joy-Cons. Do you care to comment on that statement?
I don't think I said it that way. I think that I said.
I think you're
pretty sure you said
that.
Political dodge.
Oh no.
I said that the Joy-Con, from a design perspective, are better designed than the GameCube. I would go on record saying.
The GameCube is, from a design standpoint, almost monstrosity. This isn't even a good one. This one doesn't even work. I wanted to bring up the D-pad. I think the GameCube controller, in my humble opinion, is probably the worst D-pad I've ever played with.
I think
I would pick the Joy-Con D-pad over the GameCube D-pad.
Yeah, I would say
it feels like a
same
single
with the
button.
360 controller too. That D-pad is garbage.
Yes, agreed.
360.
Yeah.
I can't choose which one is worse, but I think
It's got
I'd
like
go
a
with,
circle.
I'd go with
they
it.
improved it. They improved it later on where you could like rotate it or something.
Yeah.
I don't
I've
have
got
that
one
with
back
me.
here
It's
if you want to go
downstairs.
grab it.
Yeah, because you
I'll
can
grab
rotate
one.
just it'd be a good example. You can like rotate it to change how clicky it is or something. It was really cool the way they made it. Drew will show you guys.
It's funny because I was to say something about the D-pad for the GameCube controller. Like it was very small, right? But then you have the third-party controllers that came out, like the Mad Catz controllers that would last like a month, right? And they were even smaller. The D-pad was even smaller. It was like a D-pad for ants.
Yeah, I'm the same one. Yeah, you can turn it.
You can twist this thing so that looks like a typical 360 controller.
Interesting.
But if you rotate it, the D-pad it like lowers it so it's a traditional D-pad. But like really, this always struck me as like a copyright issue. Like who wants a D-pad like this? I don't like the circle.
Yeah.
I think that was just because Nintendo has a patent on the traditional D-pad, and even I'm not sure why. Because like with Xbox One, it's way better. I mean, they have the circle recess, right? But it's like a traditional D-pad. So
this is probably my favorite controller of all time. Xbox One.
The Xbox One.
There's
I would say the same.
Flaws.
I'm a huge Nintendo fanboy, but the Xbox One controller is to date my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to.
It's just got an excellent weight.
Controller.
It feels much more like a piece of tech than like a toy. It's like I feel like most games you play are going to have your thumbs on the control stick and the buttons, so having them in line with each other makes most sense to me. The only thing that I would change about it really would be the dumb whatever menu and share buttons, whatever they're called.
And I do kind of wish that there was analog gates too. That'd be kind of nice to have.
Yeah, I would change that too. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of weird. The modern controllers don't really do analog gates anymore. I guess.
Man, I really hate the Xbox One controller. It's just gonna like evolve.
Ooh.
No. I'm just saying.
Curious.
No. No, I don't. I've never tried one. I'm actually you guys like are talking about it. And I'm like, oh man, I need to get one. But I just love that it's like, man, I love it. It's got all these things, except for this. and this and that. Man, I hate the Xbox One controller.
The button names is that's just a name. Like if you forget it and you just use them as start and select, right? But
Yeah.
I will concede that the only physical change I might make would be adding like an actual sort of, I guess you would call it a digital analog gate, where you've got like the cardinal directions and diagonals. That would be nice for more precise inputs. But otherwise, if I'm going to pick up a controller, especially to play PC games, it's got compatibility with like pretty much any PC game.
Everything
will have X input support. So,
What about
actually really
360?
See, I was gonna say, like, a lot of people say the 360 is better than the Xbox One. I thought so at first too. Like, when I first held the Xbox One controller, it felt off almost from the Xbox 360 controllers. I think the triggers are just like moved up.
I feel
more.
like the triggers are so much better.
Yeah,
like
but
the
I think the grip felt different. But then I felt the triggers, like they have like an indentation where like the middle of your finger rests on, which makes it like super comfortable to hold. It just feels like super like you just hold it and it's like everything just feels right when you hold the controller. And it's like I think personally, my favorite controller, Xbox One.
Oh, also
By a long
change
shot,
this to USB-C and then we're good.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I think.
Oh, it's not
Also,
Is the
USB-C. What is
Series
it?
X gonna have USB-C? I don't know if they
I
are or
hope.
not.
I
They haven't announced
no,
that.
I don't think so. They might
What?
for charging and stuff, but I think they confirmed that it's still taking batteries, which a lot of people
my God.
hate on
What?
for.
That's
I
crazy.
like having batteries. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
Really?
I've been given the option of buying one of those chargeable battery packs, dude. Charging. I mean, it does have its benefits for sure, but I just like I have a stack of batteries. I don't need to charge it up. Pop 2 seconds in, out, done. I'm back to gaming in 10 seconds flat. Here, I'll show you guys my.
Get two different controllers. Charge one while you're playing with the other, bruh.
But that's like so much money. Whereas this on Amazon is
Oh,
like.
and batteries, like buying an expendable thing,
I have
of course.
stock in Duracell. Just kidding, I don't. Just kidding, I don't. I need to support my battery industry. No, but like yeah, that's just been like for me like. I've tried having the chargeable controllers, but it's like I'm like when I'm playing, I never had like wanted to buy a second controller for my Xbox 360, Xbox One. I mean now I have several, but like I guess now I'm just used to it. But I never wanted to like stop playing, plug it in, charge it, because like back then my cord wasn't long enough to reach the couch, so I'd have to like physically charge it for like at least an hour to play. So for me, it was always just easier. Pop some batteries. I know it's a hot take. I know a lot of people disagree, but batteries
Yeah,
are always
yeah.
super.
I think the
super
option
convenient.
is fine, personally.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't mind.
That's the thing. That's the
controllers
thing.
with
That's why I like the
batteries,
option. Like, except like, you can buy a battery pack if you want, but just having the option to have either or, I think is still good. And a lot of people are making fun of the Xbox Series X, but I will always be a proponent for.
If it's got a pack,
option.
perfect. Like
Yeah.
that's fine. Yeah.
If it comes
yeah.
with
Yeah.
one, yeah.
You guys want to see
Yeah.
a really weird controller?
Always.
Yes.
Look at this.
That's a
What,
controller.
what on earth
It's
is
your
that?
new
What in
favorite
the-
controller.
What in the?
This
Oh,
is
is that?
I just got the Valve Index. This is
Yeah.
the right-handed Valve
your-
Index controller.
Your
The
new
Valve
favorite
Index?
controller.
What even is that? Is that for like
This-
Half-Life
it's
3?
their VR headset. Yeah.
Okay.
These are the controllers.
Oh,
They're
I could
actually
get-
really nice. Because check this out. This is a new concept for VR controllers. I feel like what you do is this is the wrong hand. Whoops.
Let me
Hold
get
on.
my
You fool.
HTC Vive controllers real quick.
Go get it.
So what you do with this is you put your hands through this strap, right?
Uh-huh.
And if you're a noob, a jerk, you'll put on the actual wrist strap.
You're a
but
jerk.
no real gamers actually use wrist strap. Don't use your wrist straps. I'm sorry.
See,
Okay. And then the point of this controller is that it's got all the stuff that the HTC controllers had and all the different inputs that the Vive controllers had, but you can completely let go of it. And like it has individual finger tracking with this thing. This thing is like capacitive, and so it keeps track of like how far your fingers are gripped around it.
What?
So you can have individual finger tracking with this, and then there's like a little guard. This is just to like block it from hitting stuff. But you can completely let go of it, so you can like pick up a ball and then toss it, and you're not going to toss your controller across the room. It's got a thumb touchpad, 2 buttons for like traditional games, and a joystick, and a trigger. It's just good stuff. Good
That
stuff.
I don't know why,
honestly
but that-
looks a lot better than this one.
Looks dope.
I would say.
which one do you have? Is that the?
This
The
is the
Vive controller.
HTC Vive controller.
Oh.
So I really like that there's a grip on that one because all I have is this wrist strap, which is okay. But you've got a trigger button back here. You have a couple buttons on the side. You kind of just squeeze with your palm. And then there is this big circle pad. It's a touch screen, so you can kind of move it around for movement. And then
Yeah,
you can also
they
push
did the
down.
same thing for this guy here. This,
Okay,
this is
yeah.
the same because they wanted to make this controller compatible with all the Vive games. So
Oh,
it's basically
nice,
the same
yeah.
thing with a grip that lets you
It was
let
like
go
the
of
same
it.
thing. Yeah, and then there's like 2 other buttons, and I mean it's fine. It's relatively accurate. I don't have any problems with it, but I really like the idea of having a grip. I think that's really smart.
Hey, you can get the Valve Index controllers and use them with your Vive.
I should try that. That'd be cool.
Nice.
I don't play very much VR though. I honestly, ever since the Mario 64 video, I haven't touched my HTC
I
Vive.
haven't touched it since after
Because
We should do a
Yeah.
Minus Cast on VR because I feel
In
like
VR chat?
Yes.
there's
in VR chat.
In VR chat. That'd be so
That would
funny.
be awesome.
yeah.
Around a campfire, just.
Is that game supported on Oculus Quest? Do you guys know? That's like the one you
VR
don't,
chat?
don't have
I
to plug into a PC.
I think it's just Steam, but I could be wrong.
I can't remember to be honest. Yeah. Well, I could actually record it in. I could record the whole thing in VR. Then we just have our podcast in VR chat.
That'd be so cool. Actually,
be really funny.
We got to do that.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
We gotta
That
do
would
that.
that would be pretty unique, I think.
We can do
We'll
it.
do that at some
We'll do
point.
it.
Off topic.
We can do it in Animal Crossing sometime too. But,
Yeah. that'd be
I don't have Animal Crossing.
We can use the
man.
Nintendo
But-
Switch
but Aaron
Online
does.
app to voice chat because it's so convenient.
Fantastic
nothing
idea.
better.
super high quality.
There's nothing better.
With our Splatoon
Yeah.
2 headsets.
Yeah.
Wait,
Dude,
was that
I
a
have a
thing?
headset. It's horrible.
Really?
Like you put it around your ears. After 10 minutes,
Oh,
your ears are
no.
aching.
I have the
bad.
old like Nintendo DS ear set thing from like
Yes.
2006.
Oh, I used to
have
have
it
that.
somewhere.
Damn.
Where the thing was like just like barely stick out from your ear.
It would work
Yep.
for Call of Duty and for
Yeah.
Diamond and Pearl. I think you
And-
could like
yeah,
chat with the
yeah.
people you're fighting.
And Metroid
Really?
Prime Hunters. I would play multiplayer with one friend.
Oh yeah.
We played
That
it.
game was so good multiplayer. Oh,
That was actually really fun multiplayer.
I'd love
Yeah.
to see a Metroid Prime Hunters HD. But now this is
That'd be
getting into a
sick.
different cast.
We're not even talking about controllers at this point.
I just want to bring up before we move on to the next controllers. When you guys whipped out your Oculus or your Vive and your Index controllers, it always makes me think of this old Mad Catz Nintendo 64 fishing rod. It's just as soon as you whipped it, I'm like, that's what it looks like to me. It's like an old like Mad Catz fishing rod. So good.
I have a collection of weird Nintendo 64 controllers because I feel like that generation was just the most bizarre third-party
Yeah.
pads for any console.
For a
Besides-
second, I thought
Nobody
you were
knew
going to
what to do
say.
with
So
I just thought that for a second you were going to say that you had a collection of N64 Mad Catz fishing rods. I was like, what? You do?
Why?
when is the Mario 64 challenge
my
video
wares.
where you beat Bowser by fishing?
Oh,
That's next.
There you go.
That'd be funny.
I was just gonna follow up to what Nintendo said about like I think the N64 definitely had the wackiest controllers, but I don't think it's on par to what this monstrosity created with all the attachments.
the accessories, yeah.
Yeah, the accessories. I think Scott the Watch made a good video on it. There's just so much crap that they just made
It's a
for it.
lot of accessories for the Wii. Now,
Yeah,
I don't
like-
know about you guys, but do people generally crap on this controller, or do they like it?
I think Smash people crap on it, but otherwise
Yeah.
we're good.
Well,
I
they
think it's
don't
pretty, I think it's
count.
pretty
They're not-
neutral. I don't think anyone hates it. I don't think anyone necessarily loves it just by itself without
Yeah.
the nunchuck.
Yeah.
Because
kinda
that's
just like-
kind of like how I feel about it too. Because I mean,
I feel
it's-
like for games like Excite Truck, it was fantastic, and like
Yeah.
I don't know, like there were some Wii games where just the Wii remote was the ideal solution. I think for like even just Wii Sports was great. You know,
I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, I mean-
strangely, holding it sideways is actually comfortable.
It's pretty
You would
comfortable,
think,
yeah.
But it's nice. I've played a lot of NES games. I actually first started playing NES on the Wii, just holding the remote sideways, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
That whole concept to me was so foreign because it was advertised as like, oh, it's a motion control. You're meant to hold it vertically. So like when I played my first like 2D or like hold the Wii remote sideways, I was like, you can do that? Like, that works. It made no sense
It's
to me.
like what New Super Mario Bros. did
No,
it,
I
and
love
then
the design
obviously
of the
played
Wii
in that,
remote.
but then also it was Mario Party. A lot of their mini games would make you rotate the controller to be sideways.
Yeah.
oh, WarioWare Smooth Moves is
That
such
is
an
like
excellent
such
game.
a great game.
one of the best Wii games by far.
So they actually like
oh,
told
we
to,
should
like,
play
find the different
that.
positions to like hold
Yeah.
your controller in mortar and pestle. It's like just so many
Yeah,
random
actually,
names.
next time we all hang out, I want to get a video on Minus where we're just playing WarioWare Smooth Moves.
Oh, hell
Yes,
That
yeah.
game
absolutely.
Is so goofy. I want to see everyone
so great.
playing like the elephant games and stuff
We
like
should
that.
do like we can do like a hot potato type game where we play just like an endless mode and like pass the
yeah.
remote to the next person.
Oh, that would be
Actually,
awesome.
I think Smooth Moves has something like that.
I think so,
can't
yeah.
remember.
I think all
something
the
like
games
that.
do. I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any other controllers we haven't talked about?
The original NES controller.
Yeah, we've not talked about this. I
I
like
just
it.
I feel like
I
this
don't know.
whole video is just us having our controllers and showing them off on camera.
I have a
you
whole
mean
I have a
controllers?
whole bag of them. That's why like I'm able to just grab
Yeah.
whatever I need.
Oh, hang on. I got a good one. I'll be right back.
Yeah, everybody go find your controller bags.
If I opened my closet and just like pulled some drawers out, it's nothing but controllers. Because I've purchased so many for videos. Like I've made like 3 videos on third-party controllers. Now I just have this big giant collection of them.
Top tier controller is the
I wonder what the fella has
Pokeball
for
for
us.
Switch. I was thinking about that earlier. Yeah.
This bad
Piece
boy.
of crap.
You have it?
Yo, I
There
love
we go.
that.
You have that?
I have.
That's
I have
awesome.
the PS2 one. It's really sick.
Oh yeah, you do. I forgot about
I
that.
was just listening. I whipped out the Resident Evil 4 chainsaw.
That's
that
so
controller
awesome.
is awesome.
How much you pay for that bad boy?
Too much.
A lot. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well,
Sounds right.
if we're getting third-party controllers, I need to get one. That's amazing. Hold on.
Yeah, it comes with like this really cool stand. I haven't plugged it in yet, but I believe when you plug it in, it makes like a chainsaw sound or something. Like when you do stuff, it's really weird.
don't
Like
remember.
I wouldn't use it to play any other game besides probably Resident Evil 4. Maybe Mario 64. But
Yo.
it still feels really good. Like everything's kind of like where you think it would be. There's like a trigger on the handles. It's really cool.
Yeah, I remember seeing that controller back when Resident Evil 4 was coming out, like at a GameStop. And it was like in this glass case, and I was just like, wow, that looks really sick, but not comfortable to play with at all. So, yeah, I think that's amazing that you're saying that it is pretty comfortable to play with.
Cause yeah, I remember reading about that controller like in 2005. It was like it was the magazine. It was Electronic Gaming Monthly magazine, the one that had like the Wii remote, the PS3 controller, and the Xbox 360 controller on the front. And there was just like a random like section on one of the pages, like, oh yeah, like there's this controller, and I'm like, what? There's a controller that's a chainsaw? That's nuts. Why would that be a thing? And I didn't think about it again until like this year, and I'm like, wait a second, I should probably get one before they're impossible to find. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of wonky controllers, I
Uh-oh.
have this.
Oh hell yeah.
The keyboard
The Fantasy
GameCube
Star Beast.
controller.
I needed one of those.
And what's
I want one
crazy,
too.
what I love about this controller is it's actually comfortable to use. I legit play games on this sometimes. Like I was playing through Thousand Year Door a couple months ago a little bit. I was using this thing because why not? It's like super light. You wouldn't think it's light for how large it is, but there's like nothing in here.
Does it feel any
Great.
different than like the
That-
regular GameCube controller? Like, does it just feel like GameCube but stretched out?
Long.
A
is it,
tiny bit.
like-
The joystick is a little bit more loose, but otherwise
Okay.
it feels exactly the same.
I was gonna say I had the opposite setup where you had the keyboard that plugged into slot 2 when I played Fantasy Star Online. So it makes me wonder, like, in terms of that, obviously that's what it was probably developed for, right? Was for Fantasy
Yes.
Star pretty much
Yep.
the only
The only game that
for.
you can't even use it on PC. Like you can use the controller, but there's no driver for the keyboard to work. Even if you plug both of the inputs in. Yes, there is
so
two,
weird.
one for the keyboard, one for the controls. So maybe someday someone will make a driver so you can use this keyboard on PC. That'd be
That's so bizarre.
pretty sick. That'd be my new keyboard. It's really tiny too. Like you can't really
Yeah.
tell, but the keys are very, very
It's like
small.
a netbook.
Yeah, it's a lot like that.
But I was just gonna say the reason I asked how it felt, 'cause like that's how I feel about the Wii U controllers. Like, I just feel like it's the same. To me, it feels the same as the Wii U gamepad, minus maybe the triggers, but just like short, like closer together. I feel like it's pretty much the exact same. So
And to
it's
be fair,
interesting that it feels a bit different.
The gamepad is actually not the worst. It's just like a big boy, but it's like it doesn't feel bad to play with. in my
I like
opinion.
Yeah, I like it a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
I like the way it feels.
I think my favorite part of this podcast so far is when someone starts talking and I know they're going to pull a controller from the bottom of the screen. Like, I don't
Like I said,
notice
it's
them
pretty much
grab
Minus
it
World
'cause
shows
I'm
off
looking,
controllers.
yeah, it's just like they're talking.
Oh yeah,
and
you
like,
want to talk about these?
Oh yeah.
Look at these
wait.
bad boys.
Third.
Is that for the
Uh,
Switch?
Yeah, it's Damon X Machina.
Oh yeah.
I
I've heard
saw
about
you
I
that.
never
brought
got the
those
game,
to,
but I bought the controllers because they're like it's like
That
a
looks
360
really cool.
controller, but on the Switch. It's great.
That
It
says a
looks
lot
really cool.
about
It
that
looks like-
game. You got the
looks like a Batman
controllers, didn't
controller.
get the game.
Yeah. I just use these are better than Joy-Con. I just use them all the time. These little fellers. They even have turbo buttons for pro gamers.
Such as yourself.
That's right.
Everybody knows pros use the turbo buttons.
For those of you who have been listening or watching, do you agree with what we've said so far on the various controllers we've talked about? Any gripes with what we said? We'd love to hear about it in
Or
the comments
grips.
below. Or just, any way you want to reach out to us, I guess. Let us know your thoughts. But yeah, the controllers. I don't know how to close this.
Send us a telegram.
Yeah.
Send us a telegram.
I only accept
Hit me up on my
rebuttals
MySpace
in the
page.
form of smoke signals. So you have some
Just
D-pad
look up one day.
gripes.
It's like
You can
you're
mail me a
wrong.
bottle. Just throw the bottle in the Pacific. It'll get to me eventually. Don't worry about
One
it.
day. Carrier pigeon, please.
Carrier pigeon. That's right.
Your comments will be duly noted.
Only
Eventually.
only Harry Potter's owl. That's the only way I will get your letters.
But only his owl, not yours. Just
No one else's owls. They're all bad. They can't fly. They can't
call
do
Harry
anything.
Potter and tell him like, hey, can I borrow your owl, please?
Please.
Okay, I think that's good. Goodbye, everyone.
Do 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 do.
I'll see you in a bit.
In a bit.
In a bit.